It's thundering again. It's hurricane season here in Florida. Some of you people, some of my viewers, my subscribers, some of you guys, whoever you are right now watching this video, some of you have commented upon noticing the kind of rumbling, the thunder in the background of a lot of these videos lately. And that's why. The thunder's not going to go away anytime soon, okay? But now we're going to talk about Riverdale Season 3, the Great Satanic Panic season. It's kind of a mixed bag. To be honest, I think that it is better than Season 1, but doesn't compete at all with Season 2, which I thought was an absolute masterpiece of coming-of-age cinema of television, for sure. But there are things in Season 3 that really interest me, mostly Edgar Evernever. The farm storyline really, really fascinates me. So I'm going to run through my notes here and kind of do it at a more brisk pace. I'll elaborate if need be. I just want to get some points out there before I get into what really interests me about this season, which is the farm, which is the cult, which doesn't really take center stage until episode 16, until the home stretch of the season, or the home stretch of the 22 episodes. But the farm storyline, the town with pep, we are back in Riverdale. I remember in episode 5, The Great Escape, we get the first notions of the themes of this season about escapism and how we treat media, art, and culture. Hiram returns as our symbolic fascist, and Veronica is kind of the fascist apprentice now. They are both obsessed with Archie Andrews because Archie is that heart, right? He's the heart of Americana. He's the archetypal soul or quality that seems to be supernaturally inherent to that kind of traditional American ethos, or at least the idealized form of it that we kind of share and currently seem to reject by and large. It encourages viewers to ship characters, and in episode 6 we have like Manhunter. By encouraging viewers to ship characters, I mean like Ethel's reading a book about shipping, and shipping is to take characters out of the context of the show and make them romantically involved with people that they are not romantically involved with in the actual narrative that is presented by the showrunners, by the writers' room. So it's really interesting that the show is even kind of encouraging its viewers to write their own narrative that coincides or overrides the one that they present in episode 6, Manhunter. They even screamed. I love Scream, and I just want to point out there's a Scream notion with Skeet Ulrich kind of breaking in through the window, where the Gargoyle King is downstairs and to kind of save like Betty and her mother, and it makes it mirrors the Nev Campbell scene from Scream, where Skeet Ulrich does the same thing, but like his cell phone falls out of his pocket, that sort of thing, and she thinks, oh, this guy is really Ghostface. They screamed the fuck out of that scene, and I really appreciated that. I do love that how Hiram is instructing his daughter through this season, teaches her in the ways of fascism, and eventually, Veronica, the pupil, outdoes the master. Veronica defeats Hiram's fascist empire in the end. There's a lot of Polanski influence. There's a lot of Argento influence to this season. But this season also flirts with kitsch a lot. Queer cinema and kitsch are kind of like... They're kind of kissing cousins in a really bizarre kind of way, but queer cinema is while kitsch and queer cinema are both have ironic overtones, ironic kind of filmic grammars to them, queer cinema is never overtly kitsch. But this season 3 of Riverdale, at least in the beginning, comes dangerously close to full-blown kitsch, which I'm not an incredibly huge fan of. There was a lot more sophistication to it before. But I do like that they keep going back to the idea that the traditional Archie archetype is a modern day impossibility. And I love when Archie breaks out of prison, he turns his bedroom into what looks like a cell. Modern life is incarceration, and Archie experiences arrested development because he has lost his footing with his friends, and he's not as smart as he used to be. He's stuck in a place of non-development. He's arrested inside of it, right? Because modernity, modern life is incarceration. But Roberto Aguirre Sacasa tries to give us a chrome noir playground, but the style and composition is noticeably less energetic than it was in season 2 and 1, than it was earlier. There's a lot less energy being compositionally expressed in season 3, which was kind of sad. And I thought possibly a noticeable budget decrease for the show as well. Some of the scenes do look a bit cheaper than they did in earlier seasons. The slow-mo has even changed. In seasons 1 and 2, the slow-mo used to represent the loss of innocence, but now it's mostly inconsistent, but there's a great deal of purification going on. Like a slow-mo is now a purifying kind of visual aesthetic or quality. But some of it is just... I feel like they were hurting for money sometimes. There are at least 2 extremely overt Bumble ads for the dating app that aren't even done ironically, that aren't even done in a tongue-in-cheek style, that aren't even kitsch. I feel like there was a gun to the head of the showrunners, of the developers, of Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, making him do these Bumble ads that are sore thumbs on an otherwise pretty interesting tapestry. It's kitsch. Season 3 is lunacy, but it might be inspired kitsch and inspired lunacy, but we'll get to that in a second. What we get here, we have like fascist abuse, like the sexual abuse, the abuse of conversion therapy, but now it's kind of focused on religious abuses. So Christo-fascists, right? Where do we belong? We get the Christo-fascists with the nunnery, with the sisters, even with the way the sisters manipulate the town into a kind of demonic version of Dungeons and Dragons, in this case, Griffins and Gargoyles. They use the iconography of Satanism, of the devil, to keep the youth, to keep everyone really in control, but mostly the youth under their control. We had a new gang called the Pretty Poisons, a brilliant kind of slam dunk of feminist kind of pop irony there. Gina Gershon is incredible in this season. I loved seeing her. I love that it's drug lord mothers, serial killer fathers, and unstoppable cults. It really does pick up near the end of the season, because the beginning of the season is a real mixed bag, and I was really, really not too thrilled with it until a certain moment happened. Until they really started investigating and exploring and experimenting with the concepts of cult behavior and mindsets, of cult recruitment, of fascist escapism, of coming of age melodramas, keeping people infantilized, keeping them petrified, or by any means. So like Griffins and Gargoyles as well, or just any form of escapism, video games, keeping the public infantilized and petrified, keeping them as children, because the drugs in here are even fizzle rock candies, right? Which are basically bath salts. And I love the Kill the Red Paladin quest card, the new age spiritual nonsense, fascism of self-obsession, our love is God, where it changes, where it absolutely changes and turns into a very, very good season as opposed to a very underwhelming one. Is episode 16, is that Heather's musical episode. And not just because that episode is fun, that's one thing, but we get Chad Michael Murray. Chad motherfucking Michael Murray as Edgar Evernever. And one of my favorite introductions in all of coming-of-age cinema, and basically all of television, all of cinema, Chad Michael Murray's introduction as Edgar Evernever, just doing that slow clap at the end of that song about being forever 17, being forever infantilized, being infinite or immortal, ascending indefinitely. extraneously. I love it, but that close up on his face, and it's Chad Michael Murray. This is the ace in the hole. Chad is incredible here, where the one becomes many and the many become one. Archetypes on bath salts. Edgar works on the parents, while his daughter, or his his wife Evelyn, goes into high schools, forever pretending to be a 17-year-old junior to recruit teens. Edgar is a postmodern cannibal. He transforms emotional pain into physical pain. Media, just like film, just like pop music, just like comic books, just like CW television shows, of which this show is a part of. Media, coming of age cinema, hypnotizes and causes pain just to take it away, to consolidate even more power. It creates disciples. It creates acolytes. Coming of age cinema is basically just it's fascism. It's just like how fascism creates, diagnoses, and treats problems. Coming of age cinema creates vulnerabilities, diagnoses them as deformities, as social deformities, and treats the problem to give you that false sense of that this media is caring about you, that this media wants to see you grow, when in actuality it is actually yanking vital parts of you, your organs away from you, just like how The Farm is an organ harvest kind of cult. Riverdale, this is where it gets incredible, because we start experimenting with really interesting concepts, but through the character of Edgar Evernever and Evelyn Evernever as well. She is, she does an incredible job too, but Chad Michael Murray, hypnotizing, magnetic performance. I love him as Charlie on Dawson's Creek, so this is also kind of filling that void, or filling that stylistic duality that was kind of set in place by the first season, of having these heartthrobs of the past come in as kind of hollowed out shells of themselves, or demonic versions of themselves, really, as just older versions. And Chad Michael Murray, being of One Tree Hill and Dawson's Creek fame, coming in as this organ harvesting, incredibly seductive and handsome cult leader, this villain, this incredible antagonist that is representative of the cult-like behavior that these shows, that these kinds of popular phenomenons within cinema and television and music and video games, it's all about that, which goes earlier to where I said that this show at first ironically encourages you to ship characters, to create your own storylines, to escape into the show itself and devote a lot of time to it, only to correct itself at the end. Only to kind of hopefully show you, and not in a kitschy way. It abandons kitsch. When it gets to Chad Michael Murray, when it gets to the Farm storyline, we're not necessarily focused on camp. We're not necessarily focused on kitsch. We are focused on anti-fascist teen art, once again, thank God. Because otherwise it would have been a pretty miserable, miserable is... That's quite an exaggeration. I would have just been so underwhelmed, really, if I was just dealing with the Gargoyle King. Some of the concepts would have still been there, but it was the Farm storyline which really hyper explored these concepts to their maximum virtue, to their most potent power. I would have been really underwhelmed coming off of that incredible high, that incredible artistic and stylistic, atmospheric high that was Riverdale Season 2, which I am positively in love with and think is virtually flawless. A virtually flawless season. This is still not up to par with that. It doesn't compete with it at all. Season 3 is a pretty dramatic drop in compositional, artistic, and philosophical quality, but thankfully, thanks to Chad Michael Murray's inclusion, thanks to the characters of Edgar and Evelyn Evernever being investigated, dissected, if you will forgive that kind of pun, thankfully, the Farm storyline saves this this show. I mean, without it, it still would have been a good season. It would have been just good. But right now, I would call it a very good season. A very good one. Without the Farm storyline, it would be kind of good to below average for me. But Farm storyline included, I will sing its praises. It's definitely worth watching, and the slow burn, the wait for the reveal of Edgar Evernever once again is completely worth it, because Chad Michael Murray's first appearance on this show is kind of one of the most unforgettable things I've seen in recent cinema. See you guys at season 4. Thanks for watching.